Hello, chess friends. I'm back with the chess problem of the day, and you're gonna love this one because it's a seemingly impossible problem to solve. It is white to play and draw the game. So, very quickly, let me take you to exactly what's happening on the chessboard. Right now, white's pawn is just about to promote. Of course, he cannot, but he's just about to promote. And black pawns is trying to go over here, trying to promote and create a queen. Of course, the difference is black has an extra bishop, and that's quite strong. For example, if you are careless and directly promote c8 queen or any other piece, basically the move bishop f5 is enough for black to win the game. King c7, you're going to take the queen. The bishop protects the pawn, so the king cannot capture the pawn, and once he captures the bishop, we are going to simply push forward a pawn, and the pawn will go and promote on the b1 square. Basically, that's going to win, and that's why c8 queen doesn't work because of the skewer bishop f5. Now, going back, you might ask, what else can white do? How do we deal with this? For example, you might also think of something like king to d6, but in fact, this is also a blunder and does not work because of bishop f5, king c5, king e4, king to b6. Now you might think, oh, well, we are going to capture the black pawn, and after that, it's just going to be a draw. It's not going to happen because bishop to c8 stops white from capturing the pawn, and something like king a7, and we are going to simply push the pawn. This pawn can't be stopped, and whenever the king goes for the bishop is going to move away. And the moment white promotes, we are going to sacrifice a bishop, but we'll always have an extra pawn, which of course will go ahead and promote. So basically, all of this looks very dire. Now, going back in the position, you might think in this position, I can also play something like king e6. This does look like winning because now I'm covering the f5 square, I'm threatening to promote, and I'm pretty sure most of the people will say that king e6 is actually winning. In fact, it's a huge mistake. Now, black can play king to e4. The king steps forward, and the simple idea is the bishop is now getting the support that he wanted, and bishop f5 is now possible. So, for example, if you just promote or just move the king, of course, you just promote, then there is a bishop f5 skewer, and if you go king to d6, then as you all know, bishop f5 first of all stops the promotion. Now the king can try to go towards this black pawn, king c5, king e5, king b6, and as you all know, bishop to c8 will again save the day for black. But not just that, he's gonna win. Black holds his pawn, goes for this pawn, and of course at the right moment we are gonna also push for b5. Black is totally winning in this position. So you might ask, if that's not gonna work, then what is the correct option? Going back, the winning move for white is incredibly insane. The winning move is king to c8, stepping back. Basically, this is totally insane. Why is it insane? Because you're blocking your own pawn. That makes it even tougher to promote on time. So you are definitely wasting your own time. At the same time, you know that attacking the pawn is useless because the pawn can simply step forward. In fact, that is exactly what happened. Of course, if he throws in a check, we can take the black pawn. That is just a draw. But of course, in the game, black played pawn to b5. Now, this is exactly why this problem looks so tough. But of course, if you are familiar with something like the chess maneuvers of Reti, the Reti composition, then this is not going to be tough to digest at least. The move is king to d7. The king steps out, and the idea is, you see, white has just wasted two moves. He was on the d7 square, he went back to c8, he came back to d7, and this looks totally insane, but this is the only way to draw the game. In fact, the entire idea is the pawn was incredibly safe on b7 because black was able to play bishop f5 and bishop c8 in order to protect the pawn every single time. But now that the pawn is on b5, he is, believe it or not, more vulnerable to attack. Yeah. So king to d6, king to d7 played. Now black goes forward and pushes the pawn. Of course, something else like bishop f5 is not going to work here. Thanks to the move king to d6, if you're going to push the pawn, then the move king to e5 is actually going to help us. We attack the bishop. In that way, we gain the tempo, which was wasted by playing king c8. And whenever the bishop moves, we can simply go king d4, or he can also try to play king g4, but then still king d4, and we are going to get towards the pawn in order to capture the pawn. This is very similar to the main line, so I'm going to take you exactly there. So, first move, king c8, there was b5, king to d7, now there is b4, the pawn is running away. It looks impossible to stop the pawn. And again, something like king to e6 is simply not working because of the move king to e4, and the bishop is gonna come over here, and that is winning. So of course we can't be careless, we can't play king to e6. Going back, what is the move that wins for white? In fact, in this position, the correct move after king d7, the correct move is to play king to d6. The king steps up the board. The idea is very simple. Now we would like to promote, as there is no skewer, also we are moving towards the pawn, and the way towards moving the pawn is not like this, but rather we want to move it from e5 to d4 to c3, and that is the way we are going to move. So there we have it. That's the way to go. So I've just highlighted over there. All right, so king to d6 was the move. It looks incredibly tough to understand, but just stick on to with me because I'm going to explain you how it works. Right. So in this position, as white is about to promote, bishop to f5 had to be played, which was of course played. So bishop f5. Now this is the point. We lost two tempis, and now we are going to get one of that by playing king to e5, attacking the bishop. If we can successfully capture the bishop, then we can promote the pawn very successfully. So he can just not give us the bishop. In fact, he has two options. He can move the bishop, in which case we are going to move towards the pawn by playing king d4. And you see that is, we whatever time we wasted, we're now getting it back. So in the game, in fact, he did not move the bishop, but rather went for king to g4, protecting the bishop, supporting it. Now what should we play? Well, the idea is king to d4. The king ignores his own pawn and goes towards the rival pawn, because if we can capture this black pawn, we are safe. We are in safe hands, because the single bishop is not enough to win the game, of course. In this position, he played bishop to e6. So he's not ready to give up, of course. He's not going to give up so easily. The thing is, now there is an invisible barrier and we cannot move towards the pawn until this barrier is present. You can see the c3, c4 and d5 squares are taken up, and we can it seems like we cannot push our pawn. In fact, the move that we cannot play is exactly what we have to play. We have to play c8 queen, deflecting the bishop, and after bishop takes c8, now we go just say hi to the little pawn on b4, and the game is drawn. If you just push forward, we are going to capture it. Let me just show it to you. And anything else, I'm pretty sure we are just going to capture it, and it's just a draw, so there is no other option, and that is just a draw. And if he doesn't do anything, then we're gonna just capture the pawn on b4 itself. So basically it's a draw, and the way to do this was incredibly tough. Specifically the move was specifically the move king to c8 was the star move of the game. It's really incredible. And after the move b5, king d7, we come back, and after b4, king d6. This is called as precision. We use precision after, and only after the bishop comes on f5. We don't even move towards the pawn. We don't even go directly towards the c5 pawn, but we go and take the curve. We play king to e5, and that is the entire idea. And it's a very common idea. In fact, this is called as the Reti maneuver. And if you have seen this earlier, then this was not that tough. But if you have seen this for the first time, then you can check out other Reti maneuvers. They are absolutely brilliant, and they're going to teach you some basics of the king and pawn ending, which every chess player should know. So, hope you enjoyed this brilliant, extremely brilliant chess drawing combination. And thank you for watching. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel. More videos are on the way. Until next time. Bye.